Boil Release. Boil Release is an elemental Kekkei Genkai, formed by combining Fire Release and Water Release. Essentially, Boil Release can be utilized in two completely different ways, either accumulated inside the body to enhance physical strength, or released externally as a deadly corrosive mist. When accumulated and compressed inside the body, Boil Release transforms the chakra pathway system into a closed pressure cooker. The continuous boiling of chakra generates an explosive source of energy, amplifying physical strength and movement speed far beyond any conventional form of chakra enhancement. Han, the Jinchuriki of Kokuo, is the prime example of this method. He utilizes a signature technique called Unrivaled Strength, heating chakra to the boiling point to increase physical power to an unimaginable level through his steam armor. Skills such as Erupting Propulsion Fist and Erupting Strong Foot accelerate strikes using compressed steam, easily blowing away opponents with immense power. Notably, he can also release all thermal energy via steam explosion to create a scorching cloud of steam that wipes out everything in the vicinity. In contrast, when released externally, Boil Release exists as a corrosive mist, capable of destroying everything within its range, and Mei Terumi is the most prominent user of this style. She creates a deadly acidic mist capable of melting almost any object, even Susanoo-level defenses. Specifically, Mei can precisely control the acidity levels and the range of effect, allowing her to fight effectively in confined spaces without affecting her allies. A particularly notable case is Naruto, who also accessed the power of Boil Release during the battle against Kaguya. When using Sage Art Super Tailed Beast Rasen Shuriken, Naruto combined the chakra of all tailed beasts, thereby temporarily activating the Boil Release nature. Despite lacking mastery and it only lasting for a brief moment, this attack still demonstrated how insane the power of Boil Release can be when properly harnessed. Wood Release. Wood Release is an extremely rare elemental Kekkei Genkai and is considered the strongest element in Naruto, created from the combination of Earth Release and Water Release. In the entire history of Shinobi, this power is linked almost exclusively to Hashirama Senju, the first Hokage. It was he who brought Wood Release to a peak that no one else could fully replicate. At its core, Wood Release allows the user to convert chakra directly into wood. From simple structures to giant forests growing in an instant, all forms can be created right on the battlefield. Hashirama used this ability to construct vast forests, which became the foundation for the Hidden Leaf Village and a symbol of the village's first era of peace. However, the true strength of Wood Release does not lie only in creation. Hashirama could raise nearly unbreakable barriers, summon giant wood entities to face tailed beasts head-on, and specifically create wood clones. Unlike a standard shadow clone, Hashirama's wood clones possess nearly complete combat strength, allowing him to overwhelm the battlefield with both quantity and quality. The point that made Hashirama's Wood Release reach a peerless level lies in its ability to suppress and absorb chakra. Thanks to this, he could directly control the tailed beasts, subduing them without the need for complex seals. It was with this power that Hashirama captured and distributed the tailed beasts to other ninja villages to maintain the balance of power, a testament to a level of chakra control far beyond standard norms. After Hashirama's death, Wood Release became a target for numerous forces. Orochimaru conducted experiments by implanting Hashirama's DNA into more than 60 children. Only one survived, and that was Yamato. Although he can use Wood Release, Yamato's ability is much weaker than the original and requires support tools to restrain tailed beasts. Danzo Shimura also sought to seize this power by implanting Hashirama cells into his right arm. However, his version of Wood Release was extremely unstable, consuming massive amounts of chakra and only usable in mandatory situations. This research was later further perfected by Kabuto, allowing him to graft Hashirama cells onto the reincarnated body of Madara Uchiha. As a result, Madara's ability to use Wood Release was restored to a scale comparable to Hashirama's. In fact, while still alive, Madara had collected Hashirama's cells to heal himself after the legendary battle between the two. Later, Madara found a way to combine Hashirama cells with the Gedo Mazo to create an unconscious clone of Hashirama. This entity became the foundation for the White Zetsu army and simultaneously provided limited Wood Release for Obito Uchiha. Orochimaru eventually achieved Wood Release by taking over the body of a White Zetsu, though the power remained only an incomplete copy. Finally, Moegi Kazamatsuri was also confirmed to have the ability to use Wood Release as an adult. However, the origin of her power has not been clearly explained in canon, making Wood Release continue to be one of the most mysterious and difficult to replicate Kekkei Genkai in Naruto. Lava Release. Lava Release is a special Kekkei Genkai, created from the combination of fire and earth chakra, but its biggest difference lies in its diversity of expression. Unlike many other Kekkei Genkai, Lava Release does not have a fixed form. Depending on the user, it can exist as molten lava, acidic mud, volcanic ash, quicklime, or even elastic material like rubber. This is exactly what makes each lava release user possess a completely unique fighting style. One of the most prominent representatives is Roshi, the Jinchuriki of Son Goku. He can cover his body in lava to enhance close combat, creating heat so intense that just being near is enough to burn the opponent. Roshi's flower fruit mountain technique turns the battlefield into a volcanic eruption, submerging the entire area in molten magma. This power was later exploited by Naruto when borrowing chakra from Son Goku, allowing him to combine lava release into Rasen Shuriken to create an attack strong enough to cut through the tree form of the 10 tails. Beside the pure lava form, lava release also has many other dangerous variations. Kurotsuchi of Iwagakure uses lava release in 2 signature forms, which are volcanic ash and quicklime. Volcanic ash is released by her to cover and choke opponents, while quicklime can explode violently upon contact with water, creating surprise damage in narrow spaces. Mei Terumi developed lava release into highly corrosive acidic mud, powerful enough to melt both defenses and the surrounding terrain. In contrast, Dodai of Kumogakure developed a form of lava release with elastic properties like rubber, allowing him to create various structures for defense, supporting allies and directly countering lightning release. Despite being extremely flexible and having great destructive power, lava release still has clear limitations. Most of its variations depend on high temperatures, so they are easily cooled and neutralized by water release. Lightning release can also disrupt the chakra flow of lava, making the technique unstable. Additionally, forms like acidic mud, volcanic ash, or quicklime require absolute precision in chakra control, because just a small mistake can endanger allies. Explosion Release. Explosion Release is an extremely destructive Kekkei Genkai, created from the combination of earth and lightning chakra. It allows the user to create explosions by destabilizing the structure of matter upon impact. The destructive power of explosion release depends directly on the amount of chakra infused, as more chakra makes the explosion larger and more dangerous. In actual combat, explosion release is utilized in 2 distinct fighting styles, which are melee and long range. In the melee fighting style, the user activates an explosion right as they strike, turning every punch or kick into an attack that explodes directly on the body of the opponent. Gari is a prime example of this style, as he combines explosion release with taijutsu, making his strikes not only hit the target but also explode from within. He also uses explosions to create shockwaves, breaking the ground and propelling his body to move at high speeds. In contrast is the long-range fighting style, which is best demonstrated by Deidara. Instead of direct activation, he infuses explosive chakra into clay and shapes them into birds, spiders, or clones that can explode at will. This usage provides great flexibility in combat and allows for attacks from a safe distance. The peak of this style is C0, a suicide technique that creates a massive explosion capable of wiping out the entire surrounding area. But regardless of how it is used, explosion release still has weaknesses. Deidara's clay bombs can be neutralized by lightning release, while melee users will be at a disadvantage if the opponent maintains distance and avoids the point of impact. Shikotsumyaku. Shikotsumyaku is a hereditary Kekkei Genkai that allows the user to manipulate their entire skeletal system at will. This ability is linked to the Kaguya clan and is best known through Kimimaro, the clan's last member. Unlike elemental Kekkei Genkai, Shikotsumyaku directly affects biological structure, turning the user's body into a living arsenal. Regarding its mechanism, Shikotsumyaku allows the user to control the formation and decomposition of bones, as well as the calcium density within their bones. Thanks to this, Kimimaro can continuously create new bones, reinforce bone hardness far beyond natural limits, and restructure the skeleton into any shape until the body reaches its endurance limit. Consequently, his bones are not just a layer of protection, but also the material to create a series of different attack forms. In close combat, Kimimaro can pull a bone blade directly from his shoulder and rush at opponents with speed that creates afterimages after every strike. When approached, he makes bone spikes grow all over his body, turning himself into a deadly trap. At mid-range, Shikotsumyaku allows Kimimaro to fire compressed bone fragments from his body like bullets, exemplified by the 10-finger drilling bullets technique where the fingertips act like gun barrels, launching bones with extremely high piercing power. At a higher level, Kimimaro can shape his entire arm into a giant bone drill, utilizing the body's rotation to create absolute piercing force. And as the battle reaches its end, he can activate Bracken Dance, causing a forest of sharp bones to rise from the ground, covering the entire battlefield and eliminating any space for the opponent to evade. Notably, any damage caused by protruding bones heals quickly, and lost bones are replaced if necessary. However, in the interval before the bones can grow back, the affected body parts may be temporarily deformed. Simultaneously, Shikotsumyaku also provides the user with incredible defensive power, enough for Kimimaro to survive Gaara's strongest finishing move. It was this destructive potential that led Orochimaru to view Kimimaro as the next ideal host. He believed that Shikotsumyaku would turn his body into a nearly unstoppable entity. However, Kimimaro's terminal illness ended ended this plan. Although Kabuto attempted treatment, Kimimara's highly distinct biological structure caused all efforts to fail. After Kimimara's death, Kabuto continued to study his DNA and eventually replicated the ability to manipulate bones through his experiments. Later, Orochimaru absorbed all those research results, thereby indirectly gaining access to the legendary Kekkei Genkai of the Kaguya clan. Scorch Release. Scorch Release is an extremely rare and highly destructive Kekkei Genkai, formed from the combination of Fire Release and Wind Release to create high-temperature fireballs that can vaporize water instantly. The only individual confirmed to possess Scorch Release is Pakura of Tsunagakure. She uses fire and wind chakra to create heat orbs that hover around her body, resembling miniature suns. These orbs do not simply burn the target, they evaporate all moisture within the opponent's body in an instant, causing the victim to wither immediately. Pakura's most signature technique is Scorch Release Extremely Steaming Murder, where the heat orbs are manipulated fluidly to chase and eliminate enemies from all directions. At a higher level, Pakura can merge all the heat orbs into a single massive sphere and release a wide-range explosion. This attack is powerful enough to incinerate the entire surrounding area, turning once fertile battlefields into scorched and arid lands. It was this terrifying destructive power that allowed Scorch Release to completely counter Hidden Mist Ninja, who rely heavily on water style, and made Pakura a true nightmare on the battlefield. Another interesting detail is when Naruto and Sasuke combined the wind-style Rasen Shuriken with fire-style Kagutsuchi. The result created a unified attack with properties very similar to Scorch Release, thereby indirectly confirming that fire and wind are the two chakra natures that constitute this horrific Kekkei Genkai. Magnet Release. Magnet Release is a unique Kekkei Genkai combining earth and wind chakra. Magnet Release does not directly create an element like other Kekkei Genkai, but instead generates magnetic force. This ability helps the user control metallic materials in extremely versatile and dangerous ways. The most famous user is the third Kazekage of Tsunagakure, who is considered a master of magnet release. Inspired by the sand-controlling ability of Shukaku, he developed iron sand and shaped it into deadly weapons to both attack and crush opponents. Inheriting and developing this in a different direction was the fourth Kazekage Rasa, who used gold dust, a heavier form of gold sand created to directly counter the power of Shukaku. Gaara later possessed magnet release as well, allowing him to control high-density metallic sand and combine it with regular sand to increase both offense and defense. In the next generation, Shinki continues to show the ability to control iron sand with terrifying precision, showing that magnet release remains one of the most dangerous Kekkei Genkai of the Sand Village. Magnet release is not limited to Tsunagakure, as Toroi of Kumogakure also possessed it but applied it in a completely different way. He magnetized special shuriken so that any target hit becomes a magnetic point for the next weapons, even though the magnetic effect weakens gradually after each transfer. Shukaku himself also frequently infuses magnet release into ceiling tags to increase their power, and Naruto exploited this ability to create Sage Art Magnet Release Rasengan, which deals heavy damage and binds the enemy in place. Despite its formidable power, magnet release still has clear limitations. Unlike techniques like fire or water, which can be cast directly from chakra, magnet release often depends on external materials like iron or gold to be most effective. Because of this, the fourth Kazekage Rasa had to spend a large amount of resources from the Sand Village to develop and maintain gold dust. Storm Release. Storm Release is a Kekkei Genkai created from the combination of lightning release and water release, but contrary to its name, it does not create storms or rain. Instead, Storm Release turns lightning currents into beams of light-like energy, which can be bent, controlled, and guided like flowing water. The special point of this ability lies in its near-absolute precision, making it one of the most dangerous Kekkei Genkai at mid and long range. The most prominent user is Darui of Kumogakure. His version of Storm Release focuses on trajectory control, allowing energy beams to change direction in mid-air and attack targets from unpredictable angles. The technique Laser Circus is the clearest evidence, as Darui can take down opponents while avoiding harm to allies or hostages. At a completely different level, Madara pushed Storm Release far beyond all normal limits. The technique Storm Release Light Fang shoots out a sharp purple beam of light, strong enough to cut through truth-seeking orbs, which are immune to all ninjutsu. With a speed of light that is nearly impossible to dodge, Storm Release at this point is no longer just a wide-range control move, but has become a precise and absolute finishing strike. Another way of using Storm Release appeared in Hirako, the antagonist in Naruto Shippuden, the movie The Will of Fire. Through the Chimera technique, he stole Storm Release and applied it toward weather control, creating storm clouds capable of absorbing chakra from the surrounding environment. The more chakra they absorb, the more dangerous these clouds become, while also allowing Hiruko to draw energy back to increase his own power. Jugo's Clan Kekkei Genkai. Jugo's Clan Kekkei Genkai is one of the strangest and most dangerous abilities in Naruto. Unlike ninjas who must undergo hard training for senjutsu, members of this clan have the ability to automatically absorb natural energy passively right from birth. However, this seemingly perfect power comes with a terrible price. The continuous intake of natural energy causes their minds to become severely disordered, making them easily fall into an uncontrolled berserk state, like a mode they cannot manually turn off. When activated, their bodies undergo clear physical transformations where their skin, hair, and even eyes change. But unlike standard Sage mode, they do not turn into stone, even when natural energy is imbalanced. Jugo is the survivor and the most famous representative of this clan. After accidentally causing a tragedy during an outbreak, he isolated himself to avoid harming others. It was here that Kimimaro introduced Jugo to Orochimaru, who immediately recognized the terrifying potential of this ability. Instead of treating Jugo, Orochimaru exploited his body fluids to create the Cursed Seal, which is a form of artificial sage transformation for others. However, the survival rate was only about 10%, and even those who survived were limited to fixed transformation forms, which were far from the natural flexibility of Jugo. Later, Kabuto pushed the research further by transplanting Jugo's DNA into himself. This allowed him to absorb natural energy passively, providing perfect support for practicing senjutsu at Ryuchi Cave under the guidance of the White Snake Sage. In the Boruto series, Tosaka also appeared and tried to copy this power using scientific ninja tools. He created a device to simulate sage transformation and promoted it as the ultimate Cursed Seal, but eventually, he could not withstand that artificial energy and was destroyed by the very power he pursued. Crystal Release. Crystal Release is an extremely rare Kekkei Genkai that only appears in the anime through the character Guren from the Hidden Sound Village. Unlike common elemental systems, Crystal Release has the ability to crystallize almost any type of matter, from the ground and water sources to the moisture in the air. This allows the user to create an endless supply of combat materials, turning the entire battlefield into sharp crystal blocks at will. The most terrifying point that makes Crystal Release a nightmare is its destructive mechanism at the cellular level. Once an opponent is covered by a layer of crystal, their entire body structure will be crystallized down to every molecule. At this point, the collapse of the crystal also means the instant death of the victim. Besides wide-range imprisonment techniques like pentagonal crystal prison, Guren can also create crystal clones through the Jade Crystal Mirror. These clones are not only more durable than regular shadow clones, but also have the ability to refract light, disrupting the vision of the Byakugan. Despite its power, Crystal Release still has very clear weaknesses. First, because it can only crystallize materials with mass, Crystal Release is completely ineffective against pure energy like fire or lightning release. The second weakness lies in the structure of the crystals, as they are very easily broken by sound waves. Just one suitable sound frequency causing vibration will make all the crystal blocks shatter as soon as they are formed. Sakon and Ukon's Kekkei Genkai. Sakon and Ukon possess an extremely unique Kekkei Genkai, allowing them to control their body structure down to the cellular level. Most of the time, these two brothers share a single body with Ukon, usually hiding inside his older brother. During combat, Ukon can suddenly push out parts like arms or legs from any position on Sakon to block strikes or create surprise attacks with double strength. This ability truly becomes terrifying when they use the technique Parasite Demon Demolition. Instead of attacking directly, they will directly infiltrate and merge into the body of the enemy to destroy cells from the inside. This is an extremely dangerous killing technique because the opponent has almost no way to fight back unless they harm themselves to hopefully push the intruder out. However, this merging also comes with a major weakness, as any damage the host body suffers will affect the person inside in the same way. The connection between the two brothers also brings a very special recovery ability. If one of them is severely injured, they can merge back into one to speed up the healing rate, although this consumes quite a lot of chakra. Typhoon Release. Typhoon Release is a Kekkei Genkai that only appears in the anime and the novel Sasuke Shinden Book of Sunrise. Essentially, this is an upgraded version of Wind Release, where wind chakra is compressed and released on a scale far beyond any normal wind-style ninjutsu. Instead of single wind blades, Typhoon Release creates massive storms and vortexes, powerful enough to wipe out an entire battlefield like a mobile natural disaster. The only known user of this ability is Nowaki, who pushed Typhoon Release to its extreme. He can summon violent storms to confuse senses, obscure vision, and break enemy formations. With the technique Typhoon Release Consecutive Bursting Strong Winds, Nowaki covers the combat area with chaotic wind currents that carry overwhelming destructive power. But the true peak lies in Typhoon Release Great Consecutive Bursting Extreme Winds, where he creates a giant tornado on a scale large enough to force Sasuke's perfect Susanoo into a defensive stance. However, Typhoon Release still has a fatal weakness at the eye of the storm. At the center of the vortexes, the wind flow is temporarily stable and carries no destructive force. If an opponent is fast enough to enter this area, they will have a chance to launch a direct counterattack against the user. Ice Release. Ice Release is an elemental Kekkei Genkai formed from the combination of water release and wind release, allowing the user to create ice-based techniques. This ability was originally a symbol of the Yuki clan in the Land of Water, where its power was once feared so much that it led to the persecution of those who possessed it. Haku, the most famous descendant of this clan, took Ice Release to new heights with the secret technique Demonic Ice Crystal Mirrors. This allows him to move instantaneously between ice mirrors with extreme durability, which are difficult to melt even when facing high-level fire techniques. The diversity of Ice Release is also shown through unique variations in the Kakashi Haiden novel. Kahyo, a skilled ice user, has the ability to plant ice particles directly on the enemy body. If the opponent does not continuously use chakra to maintain their temperature, they will freeze from the inside until they die. In contrast, Rahyo uses Ice Release to cover his hands, turning them into solid ice armor that enhances taijutsu strikes and provides absolute defense against physical attacks. In the Boruto series, Ryogi from the Land of Snow exploited a new aspect of Ice Release, which is controlling ambient temperature. He can lower his body temperature to an extreme level to neutralize thermal sensors, making Ice Release a perfect tool for assassination and infiltration. Dark Release. Dark Release is a rare Kekkei Genkai that only appears in the movie, seized by Hiruko through the Forbidden Chimera technique. Instead of a natural inheritance, he uses a special mark on his left hand to absorb and control all the enemy chakra. The mechanism of Dark Release is extremely frustrating, as the diamond-shaped mark on top will suck energy, while the shape below will release it at will. With the Dark Release inhaling Ma technique, Hiruko can strip away all the chakra of the opponent in an instant through his palms or mouth. More terrifyingly, he uses Dark Release Judgment to convert the stolen energy into blue flames and fire them back with power stronger than the original. Basically, the stronger the opponent, the more dangerous Dark Release becomes. This ability turns Hiruko into a true counter on the battlefield, as he uses the very power of the enemy to finish them off. To this day, the exact chakra elements that form this elemental system remain a great mystery in Naruto. Iburi Clan Kekkei Genkai. The Iburi Clan Kekkei Genkai is an extremely unique ability that only appears in the anime version. It allows members to transform all or part of their bodies into smoke. In this state, they are almost immune to all physical damage because weapons and attacks only pass through. However, this smoke is not harmless because the user can still interact with matter and especially has the ability to enter the body of an opponent. Using the body oxidation technique, they can take control of actions or destroy targets from within, causing extreme pain to the victim. This power is often strongest in young members, but it is a dangerous double-edged sword. Due to the extremely unstable transformation, if the user loses control, the smoke will be permanently dispersed, and they can never return to human form. To prevent this tragedy, Orochimaru intervened with cursed seal marks to help them stabilize their body structure. Even a normal person can temporarily possess this ability if they receive blood from young members of the Iburi clan. Despite possessing terrifying infiltration and defense capabilities, the Iburi clan still has a fatal weakness, which is wind release. Because they exist in smoke form, they are extremely vulnerable to wind-style ninjutsu. Just a strong enough wind current to blow away or disperse the smoke will cause the user to die immediately without any chance of recovery. Kurama Clan Kekkei Genkai. The Kurama clan possesses a Kekkei Genkai specializing in the ability to manipulate illusions with the core power originating from yin release. Every few generations, a naturally talented individual appears in the clan, allowing them to overwhelm opponents with top-level genjutsu without any formal training. What makes the Kurama clan ability terrifying is the capacity to turn illusions into physical reality. If the brain of the victim completely believes they are being attacked, their body will automatically react and suffer damage just like what is happening in the illusion. In other words, a Kurama clan member can take down an opponent using only the power of thought, making false wounds in the illusion become real injuries on the body of the victim. However, possessing such great power often comes with extremely large weaknesses and risks. Most users cannot fully control this energy flow, causing their subconscious to create a very cruel second personality. This personality will arise and attack anyone nearby whenever the genjutsu power breaks out. Yakumo Kurama is the clearest evidence of this danger, as her illusions were so unstable that the third Hokage had to order the complete sealing of that ability to prevent serious tragedies. Because of this, the Kurama clan Kekkei Genkai is like a terrifying curse rather than a gift. Ryuzetsu's Kekkei Genkai. Appearing only in the movie Naruto Blood Prison, the Kekkei Genkai of Ryuzetsu is one of the most mysterious and least mentioned powers. This ability is linked to a revival technique called Dragon Life Reincarnation. Unlike standard medical ninjutsu, which only functions for healing, this secret technique allows Ryuzetsu to bring a person back from the brink of death. When performed, the hands of the user emit a white light, transferring all life energy into the body of the other person. As a result, the target will be fully restored, but the price to pay is the life of the caster. Because it is a life-for-a-life technique, we almost have no further information about other applications of this Kekkei Genkai besides the tragic sacrifice of Ryuzetsu. Steel Release. Steel Release is an ability that allows the user to forge steel directly from chakra. In the movie version, Haruko raised this system to a higher level by using the impervious armor technique to turn his entire body into an indestructible block of black steel, making all physical attacks harmless. Additionally, the user can deploy the steel shield technique to create solid steel walls, strong enough to block even the sand of Gaara. Swift Release. Swift Release is another Kekkei Genkai that Hiroko stole using the Chimera technique. It allows the user to focus on pushing body movement speed to the extreme through chakra manipulation. The user can move so fast that they only leave after images, making taijutsu experts completely helpless because they cannot catch the target. Mud Release. Mud Release is a Kekkei Genkai with the same elemental formula of earth and water as Wood Release, but Mud Release is much less flashy because it only creates mud. Due to its messy appearance, users of this nature are often looked down upon. However, do not let appearances fool you, because Mud Release in actual combat is extremely dangerous. Ameyuki, the only known user, can perform the bottomless mud hole technique to turn the ground into a bottomless pit. He can also create mud dolls, which are mud figures with the ability to continuously regenerate and eliminate opponents by forcing mud into their mouths, making them suffocate from the inside. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos.